Lines and welcome back, Mark Jacobs.
And good morning. This morning we have the opportunity to talk with Congressman Tracy Mann. Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. How are things in Washington?
You know what? They're hot today. We have another full day lined up. I know combines are rolling in Kansas, and should be a good day in Kansas and across the country.
All right, let's just jump into this. Some notes from over the weekend. Let's talk a little bit about Iran and Israel and the mission over the weekend using the B-2s.
Yeah, well, I feel strongly that under no circumstance should Iran be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. And let's make no mistake about this. You know, this is a regime that chants death to Israel. They also chant death to America. They hate the United States just as much as they hate Israel, and they're committed to our destruction. And so I appreciate the president, instilling peace through strength. He took decisive action. I support the decision and glad he was able to take out their nuclear capabilities. We can never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
All right. So one other quick question about the whole affair, the peace that President Trump has established between Iran and Israel to stop the operations. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's a leader that is getting to peace because of strength. Iran 2 weeks ago Israel started their campaign against Iran. The United States objective, number one, is to take out their nuclear capabilities. We did that. Credit President Trump for then going and getting a peace deal done. So far, it's holding. It's been a little shaky early on, but so far it's holding, and that's a good thing. But without question, the Middle East, America, and the world's better off when Iran does not have the ability to make or have or launch a nuclear weapon.
All right, things going on in Washington today. I know that the Senate is still working on their version of the big beautiful bill. The House has passed theirs, and tell me a little bit about the benefits of that bill to the average Kansan.
Well, the biggest thing, there's a lot of really good things in the big beautiful bill for the average Kansan. The biggest thing we have to remember that if Congress does not act or if the big beautiful bill does not pass, then every Kansan on average is going to receive a $2,200 tax increase come January 1 because the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, the Trump tax cuts of 2017, all those provisions expire on December 31. So if Congress doesn't act, that means individual income tax, federal income tax rates go up. That means that capital gains, dividend tax goes up, corporate tax rates goes up, the estate tax exclusion goes down. So basically estate taxes goes up, which would be really bad for our ag producers. So it's really important that we get this passed to prevent the largest tax increase, in American history.
I know I talked to Senator Marshall last week or the week before about the implications on small businesses and farmers, basically involving interest rates and items like that. Does the bill that the House has passed, is that covered that as well?
Well, the Federal Reserve sets the interest rates, but there certainly are a lot of things in this bill that will help small businesses. Lowering the federal tax rates helps small businesses. A lot of good people also across the district have expressed their support to other provisions in the bill, like reduced to no taxes on Social Security, which is a big deal for our seniors, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on tips, which is a high priority of President Trump's. So this is a big deal. There's also a lot of other things in the bill, things like actually doing what we need to do to secure our border, which Kansans expressed to me multiple times in the last few years, loud and clear, number one of their top priorities. It also helps agriculture. The version we passed out of the House strengthens crop insurance, raises reference prices, and again, dealing with or lessening the estate tax burden for our farmers is a big deal.
The big thing out west, west of here is Medicare and Medicaid, and basically the role of the rural hospital, because rural hospitals out west are beginning to become far and few between. Is there any protections or any assistance that could help that problem?
Yeah, well, nothing would change with Medicare, at least in the House version. On Medicaid, the biggest change would be that folks that are not in the country illegally, so illegal immigrants would not be eligible for Medicaid. And also there would be work requirements for folks that are able-bodied and do not have dependents. So we're talking about people that are not disabled. They also don't have small children. That they would have to work 20 hours a week in order to receive Medicaid benefits. Those are the big changes. Medicaid spending in the bill still scheduled to go up year over year. We're certainly talking to our rural hospitals very regularly about the bill, and but the version that passed out of the House, every indication we're getting would have minimal impact for most hospitals, but it kind of depends on every hospital and how much Medicaid clientele they are or not receiving.
All right. Representative, we need to take a short break. We'll be back with you in just a couple minutes. And we're back with Congressman Tracy Mann this morning on the BW Morning Show. Congressman, we talked a little bit about effects of Medicare. Are there any protections in the Big Beautiful Bill or any assistance in Big Beautiful Bill to help students? I know that we recently talked with Senator Marshall. He's trying to get the Pell Grant situation situated a little bit so that people who are getting certificates or short-term associate type of certificates to help them, but Pell Grants don't cover that. Is there any protections in the House version of the bill that would allow for help to get people into those positions? Potentially, and we'll see what the final draft looks like. It's being worked in the Senate right now. So a provision I really like, legislation that I sponsored that our office wrote and then was included in the bill, is basically there's an issue that came around last year with FAFSA, which is basically the financial aid, where they were counting farm assets against young people who were trying to, apply for student financial aid. We all know that in agriculture, farmers are oftentimes, asset rich but cash poor, and so that penalized or was bad for our ag, students from ag families. To be able to remove that language, so you're just looking at income, not overall assets, which is a really important for education in our district, and really glad to see that included in the House version of the bill. Yeah, because a lot of those students out west, they don't necessarily go for what is considered the typical degree type of thing. It's basically they want to do what's best to help grow their farm, so they're getting I know that one of the community colleges out west has a program for people who want to enter that program to get certificates so that they can work on like ag equipment and things like that.
Which I'm all for, and I think we got to continue to make sure that our education system is producing folks who have the skills for the jobs that we need. I'm a big proponent and a fan of vocational education, career and technical education. These are great jobs. We need more young people that want to go into those fields to really, to help our economy, to have a great life and earn a good living as well.
I can see, because there's been a shift in recent years where people, I can remember when I was in high school, and of course this has been many moons ago, they were pushing everybody towards 4-year degrees, and now it looks like there's a thing that, hey, we need people in the trades. We need people to help build houses to house our people. We need people that do hands-on operations.
That's exactly right, and then more folks with those skill sets. Very, very, very important to our economy in the Big First District, throughout Kansas and around the country.
All right. One last thing. I know that your office told me that you introduced a bill on Tuesday, I believe it was, regarding Haskell Indian University up in Lawrence. I know that this has been a sticking point. When I was up there 9 years ago, it was a sticking point on how the Bureau of Indian Education was running that. Now you want to take it out from underneath them and give that back to local control.
Yeah, Lawrence is in the Big First District now. As it entered the district, spent time there. When you're at Haskell, you realize this is a one of a kind historic institution. It's the only 4-year college for Native Americans. It ought to be a crown jewel, but it is not. It has been neglected, poorly governed by the federal government. It's not what it ought to be. Senator Mann, on the Senate side and me on the House side, we've worked for months on legislation, just introduced a draft in December got a lot of good feedback. And basically what this bill does, it would move Haskell's governance from the federal government to a tribal-nominated board of regents. Really excited about what this could do for Haskell. Could still receive federal funds, but could receive private funds as well. Would have self-governance. It could really, hopefully, get the institution to a better place.
Yeah, it seems like that's been kind of one of those neglected, and I hate to use the term, but it seems like it's been just pushed. It's like the bad sheep that has been pushed into the corner or moved out of the flock. It seems like that institution has struggled every step of the way.
It is not what it ought to be, what it could be. Excited to change the governance. Get the federal government out of the governance of Haskell, so that the leaders at Haskell can make more of their own decisions and work to get it to a better place.
All right, we got a couple minutes left. Anything on the radar that you are working on that you want your constituents to know about?
Well, certainly we continue to work on the farm bill. In fact, I'm going to end this interview and walk into the House Ag Committee for a meeting about that. In the Big Beautiful Bill, a lot of provisions to help agriculture. We've been able to insert in there strengthen and fortifying crop insurance, which is a really big deal. Also raising reference prices, decreasing regulations, providing more accountability for SNAP. Some states are not doing a good job administering these programs, stomping out waste, fraud, and abuse. All things good for agriculture in Kansas and included in the House version of the Big Beautiful Bill.
All right, Congressman, I appreciate your time this morning, and I know you're a busy man, so I'll let you go. We've been talking with Congressman Tracy Mann this morning on the BW Morning Show. BW News is right after this.